Watch the ground that's ahead of me. Yeah, got to thank it for one to breathe.
Okay, so here's what I started with. And then with my processing, here's what it sounds like after. Yeah, that's not even close. That's way better. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm scooping out the lows and I'm like filtering the highs out of it. I put on a little auto pan, tal chorus, which like sends it wide and just gives it a nice kind of texture. And then I'm also putting like a vibrato on it. And then I'm also compressing the shit out of it. You can see like how much I'm compressing over here. And then once I had that down, I played it a little more straight to start with, but I wanted to make drums that were just really off the grid and see how far I could push it and still have it groove and like you kind of almost don't notice it, or maybe I don't notice it because I've listened to it so many times. I wanted to make something kind of like Chuck Sutton's Leeway. It's this crazy song with like just like an unbelievable pocket to it. It's so like weird and janky, but it's so cool. So I made these drums and I just started with kick and snare and a few hi-hats. So here's what it sounds like in the verse. Little triangle there. So if you look, the kick's way off the grid. Okay, the hat's way off the grid. So normally like you put these things pretty close to the beat, which would be like the metronome. You can kind of hear how it fights with the metronome. I just shoved them super late and made the snare early. So I have a couple things going on here for snare. I have these two snaps. Okay, so this one and this one. And I also have this clap. So together it sounds like this. And you just get a little bit of that splayed thing happening. Like you hear the initial hit of the first snap and then it kind of is like this little texture that I liked. I thought it was a lot cooler than just having a clap. And these drums like don't really do a whole lot on their own. I also have this down here. Oh, that's my chair. Okay, so I also put my chair in it. So they don't do a ton on their own, but with the synth, you get... And so there's a couple of things happening. The snap is cutting off the snare, and so it kind of adds a little bit of percussiveness because when the snap hits, the snare cuts out. And then with the bass, that kind of accents it a little bit more. So you got... So it gives it this like kind of really loose, playful pocket to it that I was kind of into. And I already had lyrics over it, so then I sang the vocal over it.
'Cause right now it's my enemy, I just called to tell you.
Some breaths in there somewhere. Where the fuck are they? Is this it? Some gross ASMR here.
Want to breathe. 'Cause right.
So I just sent those wide and basically like go from right to left. Headphones so you can hear it. Apparently I also have them tuned. And we just ride that pocket for a little bit and then it comes in.
Now it's my enemy, I just called to tell you.
So we get that little moment. That's just accented with some background vocals.
I just called to tell you.
They're like not very good. They're not even really in time with each other, but everything about this song is loose.
I just called to tell you.
So in the like with the main vocal being so up front, it just like gives it some meat. Then we keep going the second half of the verse.
There's last week's dishes in the sink. Feel like we can't do anything.
We have that nice little I call it synth video game here. That's a little sound I found in Serum, I think, and it just brings us into this next. There's a little drop and it brings us into this next part.
Feel like we can't do anything. Come quick, cause I'm on the brink. I just called to tell you it's a mind.
So there's a couple things going on here. First, I took the bass line and I pitched it up an octave and distorted the shit out of it. So here's what that sounds like. So they're just like basically adding more and more distortion there. And with the main bass, it sounds like this. Cool. And then you also have this lead accenting the third one. So it kind of is just like builds and builds and builds.
Come quick, cause I'm on the brink. I just called to tell you it's a montage. Now the picture's running.
And then we get this big synth moment here. So I actually have 4 different synths here. These two, I don't know what I was thinking back then, but this is like a good example of sometimes shit you do doesn't make sense and it just works. So I have the same synth twice, if I remember correctly. Same exact synth, but one of them I have vibrato on it. And so it just like, I don't know, here's the one without vibrato. And then with both of them, it just adds like a little bit of texture somehow. Anyways, I have this added on top as well. And the main synth that was in the verse. On a lower octave. So all together they sound like this. And this bass moment just brings us into the chorus, this little bass fall that I found. So all together it's
montage. Now the picture's running through my head. Yeah, it's a montage.
So the drums, the bass, the synth, they're all kind of creating this pocket. So it's very much like a, you know, and we have those stops that kind of like make it feel really percussive. The vocal kind of plays around it too.
Montage. Now the picture's running through my head. Yeah, it's a montage. I keep thinking this.
Again, the vocal coming in right on the stop.
Montage. I keep thinking that's a problem, babe.
And then we have a guitar kind of accenting that vocal, doubling the sound. So with the vocal.
Montage. And I keep thinking that's the problem, babe. It's a montage.
Speaking of the vocal, I have it being doubled with 2 pitched down vocals as well.
Montage. I keep thinking that's the problem, babe.
And then it also has 2 pitched up, form down vocals. So all together, we have this.
Montage. And I keep thinking that's the problem, babe. It's a montage. Yeah. All the shit I wish I could forget. Yeah, it's a montage. And I keep thinking that's the problem, babe.
So again, like a lot of the work is being done by how off time the groove is. Like this is essentially quarter notes. Da 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 da. But instead it's bump, 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 bump. And you can see the hit that should start on the beat here is super late. And so it's all kind of like pushing and pulling and it creates this like really interesting rhythm. So yeah, that takes us out that what should be chord notes, and what if it was quarter notes would sound like this. Just da 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 da. But instead we have something cool. We have
the problem, babe.
And so like honestly, the biggest challenge with this song was finding out like, okay, I like this groove individually, these 4 notes. how do I reconcile the rest of the beat with that? And like what ended up happening is I ended up having to come in really late on a lot of beat ones and make up the time as we went along for the rest of the phrase. So like the kick, instead of coming in here, would come in here. If there was one, I took it out. And then we're kind of like playing catch up for the next 8 bars. So now we're into verse 2. I see the line, take 2, let me try again. I wanted this take 2 to kind of bring us back into the verse feeling. So basically what I did was I telephoned it and put a crazy delay on it. Here's what that sounds like.
Take 2.
I cut the delay off right when the snare hits. So again, having something sustained and cutting it off with a transient or a like smack.
Let me try again. Sometimes I'm feeling like I have no friends. Wait, take a minute, let that sink in. Wait, I don't want you feeling misled, 'cause when I'm not alone, I'm better.
So some things going on here. We have the synths and the bass and the drums, just like the first verse.
Let me try again. Sometimes I'm feeling like I have no friends. Wait, take a minute, let that sink in. Wait,
Ad-libs.
yes sir.
And then we have this vocal moment.
Wait, I don't want you feeling misled, 'cause when I'm not.
So that's just like stacking and kind of like cutting out probably lows and boosting highs a little bit. Yeah, okay, so I cut the lows a little bit, around 300 especially, and then a little bit boost the highs. And so we get this happening on top of the main vocal.
I don't want you feeling misled.
And that brings us into this new drum feel. You know, I often think of having to justify new sections. And you can justify sections in a lot of ways. You justify them with new spaces, i.e. a section didn't have reverb before and now it does. You can justify them with big moments like I do here. You can justify them with maybe a fill. You know, drums do that all the time. There's a drum fill to justify a change in section. Here I'm just trying to justify the section with a big kind of choir of vocals. So
take a minute, let that sink in. Wait, I don't want you feeling misled, 'cause when I'm not alone, I'm better.
So now we get a beat that's semi-normal. It's still a little bit fucked, as you can see. Like there's a little bit of play on the kick here, a lot there, but it's not too bad. And the hats are making it more consistent, so you kind of get a little bit of rhythmic consistency here. And we're in this new feel now.
Misled, 'cause when I'm not alone, I'm better. Maybe I just need some sun, whether or not come today or tomorrow. Well, I just called to tell you.
So what do we got going on there? We got these really dope guitars. I love the tone of these things. I feel like that's just like, to me it feels very like sunny and like hopeful. I remember listening to oh god, his name's gonna escape me. Ceramic. Right when I was getting into producing music, and he would have these like really like sunny and major triadic like lifts like that. And so I wanted to do something like that. And so the guitar and these background vocals here are kind of creating this like really like upbeat feeling section. So then all together you get like a complete change in feel, but it's justified by that one moment.
When I'm not alone, I'm better. Maybe I just need some sun, whether or not come today or tomorrow. Well, I just called.
Get this nice telephone moment, bring us into the next chorus.
I just called to tell you. It's a montage.
So we have those little, that little riser bring us into the chorus. Also have this. Just like an impact to kind of note the new section.
Montage.
I struggled with this section for a long time because I was trying to, again, justify the change in feel. And I settled on this. I'm honestly still not sure if I'm happy with it, but sometimes that's putting out music is, you know, just kind of at a certain point recognizing where you're at and doing your best. And I spent so much time on like trying to make this feel right. And I think like at a certain point you just have to say, hey, this is, you know, publish to perfect, not perfect to publish. One really funky thing I did here. This is one of my favorite parts of the song because it has this little wild chorus thing happening. And again, the timing of this was an absolute nightmare. But here's basically what I'm doing. I have multiple takes, and each one is like formatted and pitched a different way. So this one, you can see I'm automating the format. So when it goes higher, I automate the format higher. So it's basically like, it's kind of what happens with like a human voice. Like you're technically like the format does get higher when you go higher and your larynx raises, but it's like doing it to the extreme. So you get this really weird like just this weird thing. This one pitched down, formatted down. Not pitched down, just formatted up. No idea what I did there. It sounds like I'm still automating the format. And so it's following the bass line. And so like with the bass, it's kind of doing this like dun 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 dun. But again, it's like super off. And we have these drums kind of like, the kicks are kind of following the bass hits a little bit, but the rest is kind of, you know, you got this. And that was just finding the right place for the hats. Like they're just pasted every bar, but the kick moves around, and with the splaying of the snares, we actually just have the snaps here. Little hat trill here. So same thing here. We have these pitched up formatted vocals. That's just me singing, and then we format it down. And then like for texture, we have this really weird piano thing going on. You can kind of hear that. And we have this siren in the back. And then lastly, we have this. So altogether, the synths sound like this. And the nice little piano comes in. So then altogether, we just get a really weird beat. Montage. It's montage. Lot of pictures running through my head. Now we kind of have this sinister change, heading into a different chord progression. And the 808 just happening here. Dad-as. Again, like more off time shit happening with this. Pretty heavily sidechained to the kick, so every time the kick hits, the bass is gonna duck out of the way. And then a vocal stack.
It's montage.
So the vocals are just 2 pitched down.
It's montage. It's a montage.
2 sung up the octave and formatted down, sounds like.
It's a montage.
Yeah.
Lot of pictures running through my head.
2 straight doubles.
It's a montage.
Just kidding. Those are definitely formatted down. And then the main vocal.
It's a montage. Lot of pictures running through my head. Yeah, it's a montage.
And you get this like big, meaty, like kind of amalgamation. I really like when you can't really tell where one vocal stack begins and another one ends. So I'm really just adding it in for texture.
Montage. Lot of pictures running through my head. Yeah, it's a montage.
That was pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Oh, just kidding. There's a fucking outro. So for this outro, I felt like the main groove was too good to not bring back again. It took me forever to figure out how to sing over that first chorus because the groove is so out of time and what I wrote was mostly in time. So I kind of had to stretch it a little bit, and it ends up making the groove seem more normal than it is. And so I wanted to bring it back again to showcase how like kind of offbeat and janky the drums are and the whole groove is. So I just tried to find a way that I could just have a little instrumental section.
Wait.
Throw it back one time for all time's sake.
Okay, so this tape sample actually cuts off right there. So I had to do like a lot of zhuzhing on it. That was the end of the sample. So what I ended up doing was essentially creating what's like a delay and continuing it afterwards. A little slowdown until the kick hits, or maybe it's a clap. So it stops on the clap. And if I didn't, before I had that, it was just feeling like it cut off awkwardly. Here's it. You know what I mean? So it just like really mimics it as if it would wind down. So what I ended up doing was I ended up pitching these down and then echoing them. Just kidding, I didn't even pitch them down. I just echoed them and kind of cut them all off the same place. It gave me a little bit more control than a delay would. And then we just get into the groove. And this is kind of what I like about music, is that you can just be so not serious and have like these stupid little ad-libs that just like have no business being anywhere in a professional recording.
Da 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 da.
But it's just like it gives it like a little bit of whimsy somehow. So this is basically the first chorus groove, but I have this like guitar solo going on. Where is it? Is it in here? Not the cleanest guitar solo, not even like the best played. I guess those are similar things. But I don't know, it was my first take and it just worked. So I kept it. There you have it. Production montage covered. What now?
It's a montage. Now the pictures running through my head. Yeah, it's a montage. I keep thinking that's the problem, babe. It's